Welcome into history, the Big Little Podcast. First episode. I'm your host, Patrick Previty. That's Andrew Greig, Midnight Chocolate, as some might also call him. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I'm excited to start this production. We've obviously been talking about it for a little minute now, and I mean, I personally am so excited to get this off the ground and get it rolling.
Yeah, they need to make podcast equipment more expensive. We tapped in. We were able to do this pretty much for free. So here we are. But who are we? We are two upcoming sports media figures, hopefully one day. I am a Big 12 sideline reporter. I also cover the Orlando Magic for Digest Media. And take it away. Say what you end up doing too.
Yeah. So my name is Andrew, and I am an intern for the Sons of UCF, which is I'm in college currently. So one of the sports media just productions that like cover a lot of UCF sports, as well as a host on one of the UCF networks, which is called Hitting the Field. And I do a lot of stuff in like sports media. I cover specifically the baseball beat as part of the Sons of UCF, but just kind of all around. I try to work as much as possible in sports media and production. So.
Yeah, that's I seen you covering some of those baseball games. UCF baseball's on a heater right now, so it's pretty good stuff. Pretty good
Eight and
stuff,
three.
huh?
8-3 currently.
8-3.
We'll,
Who do
we'll
they take
see.
on today? Who do they play today? They play Florida.
Yeah, we play Florida, number 6 team in the country, number 7, depending on what ranking site you're looking at. So could be 8-4 after today, but still one of the better teams in Florida, if not the whole nation. So exciting team to cover.
Well, so one of the parts of this intro that I figured that we would definitely hit on is also some of the more embarrassing moments that we might have in sports media. We have a ton because I think people realize it's a high pressure situation, but they don't really understand like when that light is on you, the camera's on you, and you're working with somebody else who maybe hasn't worked before, how nerve-wracking it actually is. I don't know if you've got a story that comes straight to your mind, but I definitely have my most embarrassing story off the top of my head on camera.
Yeah, I mean, I do as well. It actually involves you. My first ever time on it, not like because of you specifically in any way,
Gotcha.
but my first ever time on camera was through Hitting the Field. As I mentioned before, I'm a part of that student production on campus, and the first time ever we were covering the national championship the day after it happened, the college football national championship to be more specific, the day after it happened. And I just got on there. I was super confident, had a bunch of notes, knew a bunch about Michigan and Washington, which was the national championship matchup that had just happened. And I froze no less than about 4 or 5 times individually. Pat had to kind of have to pick me up. It was definitely one of the more embarrassing things I've ever done in just my life. I was so prepared. I thought I could do it. And as soon as that red light hit me, I couldn't. So definitely one of the more embarrassing moments for me. Also just doing more than one take always feels like just in any scenario. Like obviously, like a lot of the people that are watching the videos only get to see the final product, but doing more than one take is always an ego hit, especially if it's more than a couple takes. So just like kind of more general than a specific one too.
Especially when you whip the tripod out, you got everybody walking by you, and then you mess up and you're like, oh, did anybody see that was walking by? Or it's like, that's not the final thing that y'all are gonna see. Trust me, I'm better than this. Like, don't even just keep walking by. Just go to the concession stand, mind your own business. I'm messing up over here. I do remember your first time on air. Honestly, my first time on air, I'd have to really search for it. I think it was also on nighttime before I hosted that show. Back in college, it was a half-hour college football based show and college sports based show, and really is really what it's supposed to be. But when I did it, it
A
was
lot of
college
things.
football. Yeah. And I remember that, and it was just like I was so nervous, and so you handled it way better than I did. It was practically the human embodiment of the Jared Allen quote, which I guess is its own human embodiment, that the lights were too bright. But like, I mean, it is what it is. It happens to everybody. I think it's a rite of passage. I remember my most embarrassing moment on camera, unfortunately, happened very recently. I was telling you a little bit about this post game women's basketball. It was UCF versus Houston. They were going to get the win. Caitlin Peterson's the best UCF basketball player. Houston had like 6 players in that game, so they had no shot. So I know that Caitlin Peterson's going to be the person that we talk to after the game. And everybody in my ear is telling me, you got 2 questions. They're going to give me the first one. I got the second one. I'm a professional. I know exactly what to do. I'm going to go up there, but I'm an even bigger professional than I might even say right now. I'm not humble. I got 3 questions in the bank because I know I'm going to ask that third question no matter what. And so I go up there, and she's so quick to answer those first 2 questions. I'm literally like shocked. I felt like it was so like I blinked, and now I'm on this third question that I've rehearsed in my head, but not as much as the first two. And then I literally have a stroke in the middle of that third question, and I practically say like, "Here, take the mic. Don't even listen. You kind of understood what I said. Just go with it. Give me an extra 5, 6, 7 seconds here to answer." And we're gonna like get out of this broadcast and send it back to the commentators. It was terrible. One of the worst moments I'd ever had. I felt like I had pissed my pants on live television. But we got back after it 2 weeks later, had the same interview, and I asked 4 questions. So
There we go.
it all comes full circle in that aspect. Everybody who's been in sports media completely understands that feeling where you're dealing with an athlete who is also nervous as well, which I think is a completely underrated and thing that nobody really talks about. But enough about us. There was plenty of news to go on this week, a lot of storylines. Let's circle back to the NFL Combine in a minute. There was some huge NBA news that happened yesterday. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL, and that Lakers trade between, Luka, AD, some of the auxiliary pieces might be the worst trade of all time. But obviously, the bigger news right now, ACL tear for Kyrie. Just lay out all your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, very unfortunate for Kyrie. I like was one of the backbones of that Mavericks team. Obviously, Anthony Davis has been out for like since he essentially got traded. But just in general, like what you were saying, that Lakers trade has got to be one of the worst, like panning out to be one of the worst in NBA history. Obviously, you look at that trade from a Lakers perspective, and you think that they're getting better for the future, adding Luka, kind of looking after the LeBron years, but in this current, they're the number 2 seed in the West right now. So they made a move for not only this season, like not only in the future, but also this season, and it's working out for them beautifully. Everything feels like it's clicking for them. They're having fun on the court. And on the opposite side, you look at the Mavericks, who are currently 10th or 11th in the West. One of those two. The Anthony Davis isn't playing. Max Christie's been a good addition, but he's no Luka Doncic. Like you get
What's the update on AD right now?
he's
He's
I'm
he's
sure he's
still
gonna
pretty
be
far out,
fine.
right?
Yeah, he's going to be out for an extended period of time, and even if he is back, what they could maybe snag a play-in spot and would have to play one of the better teams in OKC or whoever's in that top 2 or 3, if they do end up even making the playoffs. So just not a good trade for the long haul, and especially in the short term. You look at the Anthony Davis trade was supposed to like try to put you over the edge, and you don't even know if you're going to make the playoffs this season, especially with Kyrie Irving out. So just in general, like what can you say? The Lakers just completely fleeced. I feel like the word fleece gets like kind of thrown around with like when you were saying auxiliary pieces a lot, where maybe some like second or third role player gets like traded, but you never see a Luka Doncic, somebody who's considered one of the top 5 players in the league, getting traded, especially with how young he is as well. Just terrible all around, and it's not even taking much hindsight. It's like actively happening that the Lakers are significantly better than the Mavericks in a season where the Mavericks were trying to get over the hump.
I was actually pretty interested, and you went in a different direction than I thought you were going to go with mentioning the auxiliary pieces in a trade. The reason that this trade is so horrendous is even when you look at some of the more lopsided trades in NBA history, like maybe the Pau Gasol Memphis Grizzlies trade, at the very least, they got rookie Mark Gasol. Like they got what ended up being their franchise guy for the next 7 to 8 years. The Dallas Mavericks have no hope and no future in sight. Kyrie Irving is not even on the roster, right? He's an unrestricted free agent after this season. He could have potentially played his last game. So what do they have to play for?
Yeah,
Might
not
he's an
no.
unrestricted free agent, correct? He's out, or he could potentially leave.
I I'm not completely sure what his contract looks like, but within the
Oh, fine.
within the next year, he should be out of the door for them. And even if he does stay, Kyrie Irving is what 33 going on 34. Like he's not like a young player in the league anymore. And he was that side piece to Luka Doncic who could kind of pick up the offense when needed. But he isn't Kyrie Irving from 2016, the 2016 finals runs, or even before that when he was balling out in Cleveland. He's an older version of Kyrie Irving, and the trade just increasingly makes less and less sense. And then you look at I don't know
He's
if we're
got a
gonna get
player option, and the deadline is in the summer.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah. Um and then you look you look at the Mavericks, who are just, I don't even know what they're doing with their franchise in general. There was a report that came out yesterday that they're going to increase ticket prices across the board, just across the board next season. So for a team that, what do fans have to watch there that they'd want to pay an increase in ticket prices? I
So
don't
let me
know.
get this straight. They trade their franchise player away. The guy that they got back got injured immediately. So that was their only hope. They now lose their other franchise player, Kyrie Irving, and they have no real draft capital to say that they gained from this. And
They
now
got Max Christie.
what?
They got Max Christie.
Oh, Max Christie.
There
And
you
now
go.
they're raising ticket prices. Doesn't this sound like a team that's trying to move?
Yeah,
And
that
Dirk
is
Nowitzki
that is
doesn't even
almost
like
the,
him anymore?
that's like the
Ish.
almost the only explanation for it. Like, Las Vegas is obviously an interesting city. There's been rumors since that trade happened, and even before that they were trying to move the franchise. So you'd have to think that some of these moves are getting a little bit questionable in trying to keep the franchise, and people are realizing it. It's nobody's. It's not like they're doing it very, very sneakily. Like, everyone's starting to raise questions on if this is like legitimate or not, if they're trying to stay in Dallas. So
One of the best bets that Vegas has made is by investing their, blood money, their secret money into Nico Harrison's life.
yeah,
And
apparently.
they have now bought that man and potentially bought a franchise, which is so crazy because I feel like Dallas is one of those franchises that was so stable for so long, but it really is just the people. These franchises, there's nothing that's holding them up outside of the people that run them. And I feel like that's a good reminder, maybe just in life and in general. Like, it was Mark Cuban, the way that he went about his interactions with players who he hired in the front office, and that made the Dallas Mavericks, plus having Dirk Nowitzki for all those years. The regret of not signing Steve Nash too, like learning from those mistakes, but not imploding the franchise in the process. Yeah, it's just, that's tough to see. This is one of the biggest implosions I think I've ever seen from an NBA team in the middle of a season.
No, it's got to be the biggest. That's actually insane. And you mentioned a guy like Dirk Nowitzki. Luka was supposed to be that next the bridge guy between. Obviously, he played with Dirk for like a year or two, but he was the next Dirk. He was gonna, from all reports, including himself, he was gonna sign an extension there. He had just recently bought a house. It just doesn't make any sense, and I can't. I tried originally trying to put the pieces together. Maybe if they have a breakout season with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving show out, and they possibly make the finals again, like, it could be looked at as not so bad. But with where the Mavericks currently stand, it looks like the worst trade in NBA history, and there just almost is no reasoning for it.
That's what what makes this trade so devastating, is that was the only argument, was saying this year, and then Kyrie maybe opts into his player option, wants to have another year of $40+ million, and they make two really admirable runs. Maybe they get it, maybe they don't. You think that yes, they'd have to get it for it to pay off, but they got a shot, and it's in the next 2 years. It's right now, and it's over. It's out. It's out of the window now. Kyrie
Yeah.
Irving tearing his ACL. It's not going to happen this year. And then now you're banking on 1 year. How are you even going to be able to do that? And you don't even know if he's going to opt into his player option. Complete awful trade. Now, I did take a look at some of the worst trades in NBA history, and it could potentially be right up here, and it will be included on these lists. Some of these are draft day trades. I think that's tough to grade. But, one of them being Bill Russell getting traded on draft day. That's a tough one. And then also at the same time, you got those like the Celtics trading all of their older pieces to the Nets, but it's
Any
pretty
draft
horrendous.
any draft day trade is a little bit hard to evaluate just because you have no idea what the player is going to end up panning out to be. Like, obviously, Luka was originally drafted by the Hawks and then gets traded to the Mavericks. So, and Trae Young is a great player too, but who are you taking, Trae Young or Luka Doncic? So I mean,
What are you going to do about it? All right. Well, the NBA combine,
oh,
the NFL combine
there we go.
was this past week. A lot of news coming out of that. Maybe some smoke screen, what have you. But we do know some of those guys threw. Will Howard and Jalen Milroe probably, in hindsight, should not have thrown. They had some of the worst performances at the combine. Isaiah Bond overpromised. Which one do you want to go for first?
I'll take Isaiah Bond over promising, under delivering. Always something that you don't want to do, especially when you're talking to a bunch of media reporters. Cameras are going to be in your face. That's going to circulate. Running a 4.4 just isn't like good enough. And obviously, From what it looked like, there was I saw a video that was like him aligned with Worthy, like running the 40, and like their top end speed looks pretty similar. It was just like his get off was like significantly better, and like we're talking about tenths of a second. Obviously, that makes like almost all the difference. But still, like even if you have an inkling that you're gonna get even close to the record, you just can't go out and say it and then not do it. I feel like that's it, and it. I don't know that it'll tank it. I don't think that it's going to take his draft stock or whatever. If you look at game film, he is one of the fastest receivers in all of college football out of this year's draft. But it's just a little bit like it was just unnecessary. And if he wouldn't have done the talking and would have broken the record, or even like wouldn't have done the talking and like run like a 4.3, like that's still a great time. And there's just nothing to say for it. But now you have us, like first podcast episode talking about you now. So
how fast do you think you run the 40? 4.7?
Like, I think 4.7 is like pretty, like maybe like 4.6 high.
Oh, 4.6 high.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's faster than some of those linebackers, man.
Yeah, I don't know. They're elite athletes, so I always think it's funny running like running like an official 40, because you'd be surprised how fast those like linebackers and offensive linemen and defensive linemen get out the gate, because they look huge, but they're like a 5-second 40 for somebody who's 300 pounds is moving.
Yeah. Definitely. There was somebody who was in the 4.9 territory, right? I forgot exactly who it was, but yeah. So Isaiah Bond, here's my romance analogy for him, okay? He is the guy who says to the girl that I'm going to wreck you all night long. I'm going to make you finish 3 times, and like you're going to like have a crazy night with me, and then he still gets the job done. It's still good. But he didn't get that. He didn't make it like the greatest night of her life, which is so unfortunate because he still got the job done. Is that not an accurate representation of what happened? He still ran a 4.4.
A 4.4 is fast. A 4.4.
That's great. We know he's fast.
RJ Harvey, UCF alum, ran a 4.4 as well. I don't.
You tell me that analogy's fire, bro.
The analogy's pretty sound. It's like you just can't be talking like that if you don't know that you've got the game to back it up. And
exactly. That's very true. At the bar, you can't be that liquid courage, man. You say like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, and that." I mean, shit.
The film backs it up, though. He is one of the fastest receivers. It's just you can't make those promises and not even come relatively close. Like he wasn't even one of the top 5 fastest receivers in like that ran at the combine. So
also, this speed is getting to like you could potentially level. I was gonna say like Olympic level, like Olympic trial level, like right. If you get to 4.2 flat, like you're starting to talk about you could just, if you wanted to, like mess around and do those trials.
A lot of these guys they come from like track background, so it translates a little bit. But yeah, I don't want to project out what like a Usain Bolt or like a Noah Lyles or anybody who's in the track and field world would run in the 40, but I couldn't assume it'd be much faster than like a 4.0 flat. You know what I mean? So like,
I mean, how could you possibly cover at that point? Like, what is your 10-yard split?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It can't possibly be like straight 1 second.
Yeah, covering 10 yards, like 10 yards is an extended, like it's a pretty long portion of a field. Like
I guess some of the players, if you hit a 4.25 or something, you are probably covering at one point in that 40, the like 10 yards in under a second, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Right. No, because like the split can't be any faster than like, I mean, you're starting from 0. That's such an insane like thing.
Yeah. Because the splits like at a 4.2 wouldn't be faster than a 1.05 per. So assuming that like you go a little over, a little under on one of them, then that, just to think about that is so insane though. Covering 10 yards of a field in less than a second is so crazy.
So there were more players that participated in this combine outside of Isaiah Bond, in my amazing love analogy. It was Will Howard, Jalen Milroe. Shedeur Sanders has been dropping pretty quickly in these mock drafts. I don't know if you've seen that either.
I think that's one of those smoke screen types of things. I don't think he makes it past like a 6 at the absolute worst. Like
I don't think he's any lower than the second quarterback taken, so he can't possibly be any lower than 5.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I only say 5 just because you never know who might end up like trading in and out. Like you you just don't know for sure. I guess you wouldn't really trade up if you were trying to get him, but still at the same time, like that's one of the things I don't buy either. But I definitely think it's an interesting conversation because of the whole. There was a quarterback coach reported by Josina Anderson who said that Shedeur Sanders came off as like brash and like kind of like arrogant, cocky almost in like the team interviews, and said like coming from money, having made money in college, and like that culture was something that he didn't think works well in the NFL. And I just thought like, where's this coming from? So like might be a smokescreen, but it's also at the same time she was adamant that this guy like actually personally believed it, and it was quarterback coach in one of the teams in the top 7 picks in the NFL draft.
Sure. I'm sure like one person can think that, one person can think something completely different. I don't see him dropping past the second like drafted quarterback in this draft. And I think Cam Ward does go first overall, probably to the Titans. But yeah, I can't see a world where any of the quarterbacks like it'd definitely be a shocker if any of the 3 through 5 quarterback, like if Jackson Dart goes over him, I just can't see it happening.
Me neither. What do you think about the Will Howard and Jalen Milroe stuff?
I think that like their stock probably wasn't going to rise or fall all that much because of the combine. Obviously, you'd like to. I think the Jalen Milroe situations particularly was a little bit interesting, just because he chose not to show off a lot of his physical attributes, which is one of the things that you would have liked to see most out of him. Obviously, he's an insane athlete and can make a lot of like plays, more of like a project type of quarterback, reminiscent of Anthony Richardson. But he decided not to. Decided to show off his arm. Some people say that was for the worst. Some people say that it wasn't really to his detriment, and just trying to show what he can do from an arm talent perspective. So, I mean, like, I don't really have a strong opinion on it either way, just because hot take, I don't know that Jalen Milroe is going to be a starter in that National Football League for an extended period of time. So I definitely don't see him getting drafted in the first round. Maybe somebody takes a flyer on him in like the later part of the second round, early part of the third round. But yeah, and same goes for Will Howard. Just not high expectations. Yoda and Ohio State team that has one of the most stacked wide receiver groups in all of college football, if not college football history. Jeremiah Smith, obviously, just that whole receiving room was like so great. So he was looked at more of as a game manager. Obviously, he can make some of those throws. Maybe missing some of those throws at the combine doesn't look too great for him, but again, I don't think that anyone was going to draft him super high, and I don't think that if he made every single throw at the combine, that some team was going to be like, oh, we got to take him in the first round now. So
I guess the baseline is usually a good performance that doesn't garner any attention at the combine. And I think that that's why some people were very surprised. They were seeing him miss these throws, and it almost feels like it should be a given, when in reality, some players just have off days, and you're not working with these receivers all the time. And if you look at some of those throws, I don't think there were many that you can blame on the receiver, but there is just a chemistry thing there too. And I think that's why some people were caught off guard. And then I think Jalen Milroe's situation was just a little bit more unfortunate, because he could have had an overall great day. And it's like, oh, I didn't throw well today, but God, do you see, man, he's quick and he's athletic. And this is that new type of quarterback. I mean, it's been around for a minute now, right? Last 7-8 years, but that can move, and you can build your offense also around him. And he just chose not to have that day. So it's just, you're taking different angles at how you're trying to make yourself look like the best prospect possible. And both those guys walked away with potentially not as good of a day as they could have had at the combine. But like you said, it's not going to ruin their draft stock.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand it from a Milroe perspective. You think everyone knows you have the athletic talent, and you don't know if you're going to really wow anybody with that. Like if it's not coming off the chains, like you think that it could, like, I don't know. I can just see from the perspective of you want to show that you have the arm. Like the arm is the most questionable thing about Jalen Milroe for sure. So like no one's doubting that he has any that he doesn't have athletic ability. So I could see from his perspective wanting to try to show all those scouts there that he can make all those throws, but it didn't necessarily work out for him. And again, I don't think it'll take his draft stock. It's just a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, if he was capable of running like a 4.4 flat or something like that, or like a 4.3 range, then he would have ran it. You know what I'm saying? Like he would have just like made sure to leave no doubt and say like, oh, I'm the next Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson. Like I can literally run like outrun corners in this league at a certain
But like,
point.
what does a 4-6 or like a 4-5 do for Jalen
I
Milroe?
think
Not
it only hurts him, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly.
then it's like, oh, well, Riley Leonard got a 4-6 flat or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like, oh, there's no way that they're close. Okay. Umpires first began calling both balls and strikes way back in.
19,
Oh, come on. America's pastime's been here for a while.
18,
Yeah.
78.
You're close. You're
Okay.
close. 1864. Yeah,
Okay.
were we a country for the South or for the North? That was
Okay.
right at the very end of the Civil War, I believe. I think Abe Lincoln was still alive, which is kind of actually wild to think about. We've gone through a lot of presidents in that time.
Yeah.
So that's maybe to change. In spring training, they're trying out an automated ball strike challenge system during these games. How does it work? Well, I believe just the batter taps his cap, says, "Hey, look, I want to challenge that call," and I think they go take a look at it. There was one yesterday between Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. I
Okay.
think he was
Yep. That's
doing
what
that.
I was
Yeah.
gonna mention that they're former Nationals like teammates, so that was really fun. Trey Turner obviously kind of bit into the bit a little bit because Max Scherzer was very open about the fact that he wasn't a big fan of it, and literally the first pitch, like Trey Turner knew exactly what he was going to do. It was a very clear strike, and he tapped his cap immediately and told him that we're gonna review this one just to get under like his skin a little bit. Like obviously a former teammate, so maybe definitely poking fun a little bit. But I just think it's so funny that is like an interaction that was happening, and I don't really
You
have
got to
all that.
calibrate the system a little bit there too, you know?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
probably do that before the game, hopefully.
It's just like a completely like out of whack like strike zone that's just getting
Just
everything wrong.
clearly off.
Yeah, right. No, I don't have like any strong opinions on it. I do like the sport of baseball. I cover baseball specifically, but I'm not like like a baseball purist. So having a correct call, especially if it's in a timely manner, like we're not taking 5 minutes to get a ball and strike call reviewed. If the guy can just tap on his helmet in 30 seconds, we get it declared if it's a ball or strike. I definitely don't think it makes the game worse. I think that it's definitely the right call to implement it in spring training before actually introducing it to the pros. And I think they had been trying it in the lower levels of minor league baseball before this. So just like implementing it down the ladder. But I don't have any real issues of it, especially if it doesn't extend the game any longer than it has to be. And with the pitch clock, obviously not even relevant to this, but like with the pitch clock having games being shortened so much, it like a slight extension, even if it is for a challenge, doesn't make the game worse in any sense, I don't think, especially if you're going to get balls and strikes right. Like you don't want this worst case scenario, like World Series comes down to the line and a strikeout look in on a bad call happens. You get to review that now. So I definitely don't think it makes the game worse in any way.
That will definitely happen at some point. If this sticks around, there will be a huge at bat in a World Series game that gets that tap. And look, everybody only gets each team only gets 2 per game. So this isn't going to get out of hand. This is going to be crazy. It's some you're going to have to let go. Others, if the ump is keeping the strike zone consistent for both teams, or you just know, hey, he's leaning a little bit right, he's leaning a little bit inside, or something along those lines, you're just going to deal with it. And then for the egregious ones, check him immediately and you'll be fine. The only players that can did you mention that the only players that can call a challenge are the hitter, the batter, the catcher, and the pitcher? That's perfect. Not even the manager, because then at that point it just starts getting ridiculous. Maybe he heard from somebody that is watching TV or something that wasn't like a strike or whatever. So I think that's good for the game. Look, Major League Baseball has the best process to get some of these rules figured out because they got the minors and they have spring training. No other professional league really has it to the point that they can get a full sample size like baseball. And I think that that's why this will work. And I think that's why this will stick around. There's too much at stake for these teams and honestly for betting to have some of these umps make these mistakes in these big games. And I think this will be here to stay. And I think that is just going to be good for the game of baseball. And it's not going to mess up the pace of play, which is huge. That pitch clock has done so much for the game. And I know some of the reviews might get a little bit tedious, but to get these calls right and to have these challenges in the game, I think it'll be good for baseball.
And I will say, like, besides the egregious ones, there are a lot of umpires that do a stellar job at umping the game and have like they do like this review after games where you can see like an ump's chart and how many balls and strikes you got wrong and like correct. And the vast majority of it is over 90%, if not closer to 95+%. So a lot of it's not going to be happening consistently. And if you do get it wrong, like you're challenged and the like you only get two of them, like you mentioned before. So just in general, I think that it just can't be considered a net negative for the game. It's like unless you're like some crazy baseball purist who's like get everything away from me, eliminate the pitch clock, go back to 4-hour games, no challenges, no anything. So
I mean, there's no doubt that those people exist. Maybe they will
100%.
also want to go back to 1864. Who knows? I'm just saying, man. Hey, who'd you vote for, bro? If you want those 4-hour baseball games to come back. All right. Anyways,
Moving on.
so before we get to trivia, we haven't been at this for a second. I did also want to mention how elite NASCAR TikTok is. I just wanted to show you. Speaking of who did you vote for, NASCAR TikTok is actually so elite. It's so emotional. The song choices with some of these race finishes are crazy. And then also, I keep seeing clips of people playing the NASCAR video game. Have you ever played?
I've not, but no, I haven't.
But they're arguing about etiquette, how you race. Like you're not supposed to crash people online, but it's like, what did you expect if you hop into like an online game of NASCAR? Like, are you expecting to just get a free win or not get like? And then there's like this glitch where you can force somebody into the pit, like to the pit lane or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my god, you literally ran my car into the pit." The game that they should fix that. They'll probably fix that next year. But I saw somebody rage about that, and I think it's funny. I think those rage bait videos and NASCAR they kind of remind me a little bit of the aesthetic of like old COD rage bait or like something like that. So
I think
just saying, you got to tap in. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
right. Clip farming. Excuse me.
Okay.
So basketball is upon us.
Okay.
Of course it is. We're in the middle of the
It's
damn
March.
season. Yeah.
It's March.
March Madness is upon us.
March.
We're gonna save the March Madness trivia for later. Maybe we'll have a names draft. I know who my first pick is gonna be.
Oh, JJ. No.
Drop his load right on you.
Yep. Right.
That wasn't even there. That wasn't Jizzle James is who he's referring to, and that wasn't even clever at all. That wasn't even a pun. It makes it rain from downtown was what I was meaning to say. Brings the hammer.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways. Okay.
He's
Andrew.
One of men's basketball players.
Andrew, do I have your attention?
You do.
Can you name every single Finals MVP since 2000? This is easy. Trust me, a lot of people can do this.
Okay. All right. No pressure.
Right, we're starting from 2023.
Okay.
No, what? 2024.
Yeah.
That was last year. It's been a while. All right.
All right. So Jason Tatum. That's a joke. All right. Sorry. All right.
I was just about to cry.
Yeah. The anomaly they're calling him. I don't know if you've seen the House of Highlights. Like
the anomaly.
Yeah.
That's one of those 2K nicknames that you get to choose when you're creating your play, and you're like, who was ever called this? But there's some older players that were like, the magician.
Yeah.
Who's the magician?
OJ.
OJ Simpson?
No. Like one of the 2K names.
OJ.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Orange juice. Michael B. Jordan. Fresh squeeze.
One of the elite 2Ks ever.
Who was the really annoying girl that was also in it?
The
Fresh
or whatever.
or whatever her name is. Okay, yeah. Anyways, you got Jaylen Brown, 2024.
Jaylen Brown, Jokic. Are we okay? Right. Yep. 2022 Curry. 2021 is the series where Bucks, right? So Giannis. 2020 bubble, LeBron, obviously. Okay. 2019, the year before the bubble, and I know this because it is the reigning champions, Toronto Raptors, right?
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard.
What a fever dream.
2018 KD.
Yep.
2017 KD. 2016 LeBron.
Wow. Okay, so we're now through the last like 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
So you get 3 mistakes, by the way.
Okay.
3 chances to guess these. Shout out Saquon Barkley, highest paid running back in NFL history, $41 million on a 2-year
How
deal, I
long?
believe.
Okay.
I swiped
Okay.
out of it on accident.
Well deserved.
I agree. 2-year, $41.2 million contract.
Sick. I mean,
All right, continue on.
yeah. 2015, Andre Iguodala.
Mm.
2014, Kawhi. 2013, LeBron. 2012, LeBron. 2011, Dirk. 2010. This is. Wait, give me 2 seconds.
And I'm only allowed to give you the finals loser. I will not give you the finals winner.
Okay. Is this the year where the Lakers lost in the finals? Or is that 2009?
This is the year when the Lakers shoot.
Oh, come on. Okay, Kobe. Yeah, I appreciate you. 2010 Kobe, 2009 Kevin Garnett.
Nope. First one
Uh,
wrong. You said that with conviction too, so I'm gonna count you. The team that lost in 2009 was the Orlando Magic.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm early on this. This is Dwight Howard's finals.
And he is thinking. While he's thinking, maybe we'll give some fun facts about some of these finals MVPs.
Okay.
Andre Iguodala. That was pretty much just a block move, the classic block move that you might do in a board game or in some sort of friendly draft between your opponents to make sure that somebody like LeBron James doesn't get a finals MVP
Spurs won
on the
that year?
losing team. Excuse me?
2009.
2009. This Western Conference team beat the Orlando Magic in 5 games. And unfortunately, Dwight Howard was never the same.
Was Dwight Howard ever a part of this team after?
Yeah, he ended up getting traded to the Lakers in 2012.
Okay. I appreciate you for giving me the name. Kobe.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking Lakers either way.
Okay.
But and then hey, went back to the Lakers as well. So 2000. This is Kevin Garnett. No.
Ooh, no.
What year did the Celtics win the finals?
I might have to count that. I might have to count that because
You
you
can.
really are convinced.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's
They beat the Lakers.
in this finals?
In 2008. They got the band back together, or got the band together. Big 3, back when it was,
Oh,
you really only trade for it.
Paul Pierce. Am I like
Yes, Paul Pierce.
bro? How?
Yeah, that's a tricky one because I almost don't want to count you for that one because in that era that the Celtics won one of them and you were just going for KG instead of Paul Pierce. So it was just a shame that you might have used 2 on that, but I might give you some leeway. Okay.
It's always the "we did it" like that clip that always like rings in my head.
I wonder what the voting is for that. I wonder what the voting was for that finals because I'd imagine it was probably pretty close. I mean, Paul Pierce was clutch. He had like he pooped his pants moment, right?
Yeah.
The wheelchair moment, but still, I would have figured that it was pretty close. But I don't know. Maybe it was Paul's team probably.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to go through the next ones pretty quickly then. Yeah. We're at 2007.
2007.
Who lost?
Cavs.
I really don't want to waste this, and I'm pretty sure it's Tim Duncan, but
is that your final answer?
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Oh, that's okay. No, I want you to get this. I'm rooting for you because you're gonna come up on one in a few years from now here that you're gonna miss, but that's okay.
Okay. So was I leaning in the right direction?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Spurs.
Yeah, Tim Duncan.
No.
Tony Parker.
All right.
Well, for the viewers at home, I was 2 years old when this happened, so like, give me a little bit of leeway. Also, wait, can I just try to go through the rest of the list?
Yeah, go on ahead.
2006. Who lost? Who lost? Just give it. We're gonna run through
Mavericks. Mavericks lost.
Mavericks lost to Wayne Wade.
Yep.
2005. Who lost?
Pistons.
Pistons. Yeah, you got it. I wasn't gonna get
that. The Pistons lost to the Spurs. Tim Duncan.
Okay. Go.
Third Finals MVP. 1 in 7 games. An all-time great finals. Not a lot of scoring. But yeah, then you got Chauncey Billups in 2004. That's what I thought you were going to get tripped up on. That Pistons team pretty much hasn't been replicated since it happened. They beat that old-ish super team for the Lakers when they had Malone and Gary Payton. Kobe shot terribly in that finals. Shaq had a good finals, though. That team was good when Malone was healthy. Then Tim Duncan had that insane finals against the Nets, all those in like 6 games or whatever, had that almost quadruple double. Then Shaq 10 out.
Yeah,
for the 3-peat.
Okay, I was the Shaq ones. I was pretty confident in. Okay, so I definitely not like a good performance. KG like twice got me pretty bad, and then I was never gonna get Chauncey. So I mean, like I can like name like a solid 20, and like some of the years I wasn't even alive. So I'll take it. I guess.
You did good, honestly. You did a little bit better than I thought you were going to do, especially to start and out of the gate. You're not looking at anything, and I'm only giving you the losing team. I'm definitely not going to give you the winning team.
Yeah.
So I think you did a really good job, especially since you went in order too, because I think maybe potentially if you had gone out of order and said like a player in a year, you may have had a better shot. So I think you did an admirable job. Final words, anything that you've been thinking about that you didn't get a chance to get off your chest today, now's the time, or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. I mean, this has just happened, so might as well like kind of harp on it. I kind of keep this brief, but Devontae Adams obviously gets released from the Jets today, a couple minutes ago. So means Aaron Rodgers, obviously they already told him he's not coming back, but that gives him the leeway to move wherever he's going. I think the Steelers would be an interesting destination. Obviously they need, their quarterback situation is kind of up in the air right now. I think that possibly Aaron Rodgers has said a bunch of kind words about Mike Tomlin in the past. And I don't see a world where Mike Tomlin gets the boot, especially since he made it past the kind of off season, like doomsday Monday. So yeah, Mike Tomlin's there to stay. So Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams team up with the rest of that squad could be interesting. Maybe makes them playoff contenders. I don't even know what to make of the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams situation after this year on the Jets, but just definitely something interesting to look at. I think wherever Devontae goes, Aaron Rodgers will probably go too, especially since they have the option of doing it together. So, I mean, there's definitely a couple of teams in mind. Any team that doesn't get a quarterback in the draft is an option, but we'll see.
Yeah, I pulled up this graphic here. Here are the biggest cap hits in the NFL. They're all quarterbacks, top 10. Dak Prescott, $89.9 million. Deshaun Watson, $72.9 million. Patrick Mahomes, $66.3 million. Derek Carr, $51.5 million. Matthew Stafford, $49.7 million. Joe Burrow, $46.3 million. Kyler Murray, $45.6 million. Josh Allen, $44.7 million. Geno Smith, $44.5 million. And Lamar Jackson, $43.7 million. I would say about half of those guys are worth it. The other half, not so much. Be careful when you're assessing whether or not you need to pay a quarterback, because it's essentially a coin flip when I look at that list. I think that's a message for NFL GMs.
Agreed. I think that's an interesting point to bring up, just because I don't know that it's completely applicable to the Aaron Rodgers situation. He's not getting paid anywhere close to those numbers anymore. But yeah.
Oh no, it was just a random thing.
Yeah,
That was my speak now or forever hold my peace.
My fault. I didn't really understand what was going. I thought that was the context of Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, I mean, you look at some of those names, and some of those quarterbacks are definitely deserving of it. Others you might start to look a little bit questionable, especially since only one.
Geno, Derek Carr, Dak, and Deshaun. That's 4 guys I know aren't worth that amount.
Yeah, but I mean, the quarterback market is completely oversaturated.
Well then maybe like, but those teams are handicapped. 90 million? I mean, Josh Allen, yes. Lamar Jackson, yes. Patrick Mahomes, yes. Joe Burrow, definitely yes. And then we'll talk about Stafford and Kyler Murray. I think Stafford you got to with the way that they're built. Kyler Murray, yeah, I like Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no,
but
I do as well.
I don't love Kyler Murray. And do I love him for any more than 45 million? Definitely not.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of like right where he sits. I think he's anywhere from like a top 8 to top 12 quarterback when he's like playing his best football. So So I mean,
For
the numbers.
45 million, I'd like you to play your best football like almost all the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't disagree. His receiving core was a little bit suspect this year, but Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously not what a lot of people had him panning out to be. But I mean, we'll see. Jury's
Yeah,
still out on him. Trey McBride had a really good season this year, so just the Cardinals like weren't that good at football, so that's a little unfortunate. But I don't know that's directly attributed to Kyler Murray. So
yeah,
I like Kyler Murray.
Well, for my co-host, Andrew Greig, I'm Patrick Previty. This has been the Big Little Podcast. Guys, make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on all the socials. Certainly helps. And we'll see you guys in a couple days.